Today on Judge Porter.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds to me like you're delusional. And I hate to be rude about that.
I mean, why should another 8-year-old be grading my son's paper and now he's getting low grades? That makes sense now.
The other children in my class are doing absolutely well. My classroom students test higher than any other students in the school.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Porter is presiding.
Everyone, please be seated. Thank you so much. We have case number 7033, Nancy Wu versus Vanessa Morgan. Ladies, if you can please come to the podium. Ms. Wu, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Ms. Morgan, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Ms. Wu, it shows here that you're suing for the amount of $40,000. Am I reading that correctly, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's going on?
Well, my son has been enrolled at St. Michael's for 2 years, and I believe he's being treated very unfairly in Miss Morgan's class.
Okay, why do you say that?
That's preposterous.
Well, my son excels. He's a very bright student. He excels in all of his classes. And the only one he doesn't excel in is Mrs. Morgan's class.
Okay.
She deliberately gives him bad grades. She bullies him. She's...
When you say bully, I'm sorry, what's your child's name?
Richard.
Richard. Okay. Richard is telling you that Miss Morgan bullies him in what manner?
Well, there's a little funny story. I guess I could tell you about that. He has some famous athletes that he admires, and he calls them the goats. So one of his Grammys gave him a stuffed animal goat that's wearing the basketball jersey of the player. And sometimes we role play and say, oh, we play around with the stuffed animals. And he says, I don't know if I can say the names, but he's shooting the basketball. He throws his laundry into the laundry basket, and he makes a hoop. And he says, okay, this is the goat. And it's like a billy goat.
Okay.
So he says, this is Michael, the goat, basketball goat. And then the other day, he was saying, this is Mrs. Morgan, she's the goat. And I said, oh, finally, now you're starting to like Mrs. Morgan again. And he said, she's not the billy goat, she's the bully goat. So he's calling her a bully goat.
Oh, I see.
And it's...
How old is Richard?
He's 8. He's in 3rd grade.
He's 8, okay. All right. Miss Morgan. You've heard what Miss Wu had to say. Are you Richard's teacher?
I surely am, Your Honor.
What do you teach? What's your class teaching as far as its block? I mean.
Okay, I am Richard's homeroom teacher, but as well as his math and language arts teacher.
Math and what was the second one? I'm sorry.
Language arts.
Now you said language arts. Is that what they used to call English back in the day?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's why you teachers, you guys come up with all these names for the strangest little things.
That's right.
But okay, so how is Richard doing in your class as far as his academics?
Less to be desirable, Your Honor, is the best way to put it.
What's the problem with Richard?
Richard doesn't do his work.
Mm-hmm.
He spends majority of his time sitting there talking about sports or the Woo blocks or whatever it is these kids are playing instead of turning in his work.
Okay.
Now,
what about homework? Do you assign homework?
Oh, I assign homework.
Does he bring the homework home? I mean, does he bring the homework to class?
When he does, it's not him that has completed the homework.
How do you know that he didn't do the homework?
I can tell by the handwriting, Your Honor.
Ah, okay.
It's when a child's handwriting goes from slightly illegible to pristine, 9 times out of 10, the parents have done the homework, because when I ask the students a question from the homework and they can't answer it, but they got it right on the homework, that lets me know these parents are doing the assignment.
Let me ask you this question. It's been a while since I've been in school. Do they still do the grading system A, B, C, D? They still do
Yes,
that?
sure.
What's his grade looking like?
Right now in language arts, he has a D.
A D.
And
What about the math part?
He has an F in mathematics.
An F in mathematics. Okay. Have you addressed this issue with Miss Wu?
Oh, I have addressed this issue with Ms. Wu on multiple occasions,
And?
and she doesn't want to hear it. She assumes that I am being unfair to her child. I treat all my students the same.
How are the other children doing in your class?
The other children in my class are doing absolutely well. My classroom students test higher than any other students in the school.
Okay. Miss Wu, you've heard what Miss Morgan had to say.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, I am not doing his homework. I have been trying desperately to speak with Mrs. Morgan. I've sent her emails, no correspondence back. I have hired tutors. I work with my son every night to do her homework. And the reason the handwriting looks different is because he is a natural lefty.
Okay.
She makes him write with his right hand in class.
Okay.
And when he comes
I do
home,
no
he writes
such
with his
thing.
left hand. Yes.
I do
Yes.
no such
So
Okay,
his
hold
handwriting
on, wait a
and when he
minute.
takes
So your son writes with his left hand,
Naturally, he's a lefty.
and you're saying that she forces him to
Yes.
write with the.
Yes, she forces him to write with his right hand.
Okay, but okay. All
So
right.
when he comes home and he does his homework, we do it together. It takes hours, and his self-esteem is being lowered. His confidence is lowered.
Okay, now let me ask this question. St. Michael's is a private institution, correct? Am I correct in
Yes,
saying
Your
that?
Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wu, have you spoken to the administrators at the school?
Yes,
And what have they recommended?
they don't do anything.
They don't do anything?
Yes, I have written several emails to Mrs. Morgan, and I've written several emails to the principal and the administrators at the school, and basically they tell me, well, we can't do anything. You know.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Wu.
so not
Does your child have learning issues with other classes?
No, he excels. He's a very hard worker. He's always been a bright, hard worker, and he loves learning. But this
Your Honor.
class is making his love of learning diminish.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
classes that he's excelling in at this moment are PE, music, and art.
Okay.
Well, those are subjects too.
Okay. Well, ma'am, but your son doesn't have a tutor for the classes that he's excelling in, correct?
Correct.
He only has a tutor for the classes where his grades are suspect.
Yes, and I help him, and I've also had to bring him to a psychologist.
Why?
Because of the treatment he's been receiving in Mrs. Morgan's class. He cannot study well. He was always talkative, but now I notice that.
And you're saying that the administration at the school has approached him and they said we don't see an issue. That's what I'm hearing correctly?
Yeah, they're basically giving me the runaround. They're not really forthcoming as to how these grades are happening.
That is
He has,
so not true.
Look, I'm a hard worker too. I take notes. I have written down all of this, and I just want to say I can show you a star chart of the classroom where I went in.
A what chart?
Well, have a star chart on the wall for behavior.
I don't know what a star chart is.
Okay, I'll show you.
Joe, can you do me a favor? Can you get that paperwork that she wants to show us? And then maybe she can explain to me, because I don't know what a star chart is.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had a holiday party in class one time, and I know she has said that I come into the class a lot, but I have to bring things. You know, I have a business, and we make chocolates, and so sometimes I bring them in, and it's called. My name is Nancy Wu, so it's called Woo Them with Chocolates. So I love to bring in these chocolates to the classroom and for the kids, and sometimes I happen to have to use that time to ask her why my son's grades are so bad.
Okay.
But I noticed
my lessons.
Hold on, ma'am. Hold on.
I noticed that there's a star chart on the wall, and it has all of these the kids' names.
And I see your son doesn't have stars.
And yes, and if you could see, some of them have double rows of stars. My son has. There were 3 on there, and they've been ripped off.
Joe, if you can give this chart back to her. Okay, I see where your son doesn't have as many stars as the other children. As a matter of fact, your son doesn't have any stars as compared. And I'm assuming that the stars are for accomplishments, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. They're
Okay,
based off
but here's my
behavior.
question. If the other children are getting stars and yours isn't, is it a possibility that your child just is not as caught up as with the other kids? Is that a possibility?
Well, it is, but I work with him, and if it is the case,
I get it.
then-
You work with him, the tutors
the
work
tutor
with
works
him,
with him.
but something's not clicking.
Right. So then I feel that maybe she should give us a little bit more attention or something where.
But the other kids are progressing. They're doing fine from that star chart that you just showed me.
Yes, and that's why I believe that she is singling us out. We were the only one with no stars.
Why do you think she's singling you out?
I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of vendetta. I'm not sure.
Vendetta.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't get paid enough to have vendettas towards students.
Okay.
Well, we do certainly pay a lot of money to go to this school.
Here's the thing. I haven't heard anything in relation to her just treating your child any differently than any other children. What I have heard is that maybe your child just isn't grasping the information as well as the other children. Now, I don't know if that's from a learning disability. I don't know if the class is too advanced for him. I don't know.
I cannot accept that answer. I am not to blame. Mrs. Morgan is to blame. My son has no learning disabilities. He's not dyslexic, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but he is not dyslexic. She is a bully. She has been treating him.
Ma'am,
She's been mistreating him.
you
this
showed
whole-
me a star chart. There had to be 20 kids on that chart, and the only one.
How can you not give a child a star? What kind of person does not give a child a star when everyone else has one? There's participation awards. Everyone
we do not do
Ma'am,
And even if he's
Morgan,
just
Miss
in
Morgan,
the
Miss
classroom,
Morgan.
he should get 1 star at least.
Listen, ma'am. This is this is a room of a classroom to get an education.
Exactly.
Okay?
And he
Just
should
because-
be getting an education for the price that we're paying for this school. He should be at least getting an A-. He
pay
can't
for
be getting
Ma'am, you are not buying grades. You are giving him the opportunity to receive a fine education. And
Yeah,
to
this
be
is
honest,
not
I
a
know that
fine
St. Michael's is a good school. I wish I could have sent my kids there.
Yes, it's supposed to be a good school, and every other class is good except for Mrs. Morgan's. She's not giving him the proper attention.
Yeah.
She's not
So
giving him
if
the accolades
Miss
that he
Morgan,
deserves. He
Miss
should
Morgan,
twice.
Miss Morgan, hold on. So if she gave him a star, you would be happy? Maybe 2 stars, 3 stars?
At least something instead of taking them. They were there. She gave them to him and she took them off. She ripped them off.
Ma'am,
like a Band-Aid.
your child has an obligation to learn. Okay, it's not her responsibility to give your child participation trophies in the form of stars.
I don't want participation trophies. I want her to actually look at him and say, you find something good. I always look for the good in people. I want her to look for something good in him instead of always constantly criticizing him. All she does is tell him this is wrong. He writes something and he crosses it out too hard, she deducts points. She has an arbitrary grading system that has no basis in actual
if she has
fact.
an arbitrary grading system, then how are the other kids succeeding?
She likes them better. There's some reason she has singled us
So
out.
you're telling me, hold on, you're telling me a class of 20 kids, and I'm going by the star chart that you just showed me, you're telling me by 20 kids, the only one she has a problem with is yours.
Well, the only thing is also, I never saw anything about that. We've had conferences with her. She always says, "Oh, he's doing fine. Everything is fine." And then I walk
But
into
apparently
the class
he's
and
not
there's no
doing
stars.
fine because you have hired tutors to help him with this issue, and it's still not being successful.
Right, but she's not grading him according to standards. She's grading
But
him
the other
arbitrarily.
kids are succeeding.
That's what I mean. So she's not allowing him to succeed because she has an
So
arbitrary
you're telling
system.
me that she needs to change the entire curriculum to fit the success of your child?
No, but I'm saying that when she grades a paper for my son, two kids might put the same paper and she will grade mine lower than the other ones.
Honor.
So
Actually,
you're
that
telling me
happened once.
you're telling me that she gives a test, same question with the expectation of having the same answer. Your child answers differently than the other child, and she should
No, my
make
child
amends?
answers the same, but his handwriting is worse, so she deducts
This
points
is not
for
an
that.
issue of handwriting. Am I correct in saying this, ma'am? It's a matter of the answer is wrong.
No,
the students
answer-
grade each other's work. That's why we do. So they can do peer learning. So they trade assignments, and sometimes we do that with our quizzes in class and allow them to grade each other's papers.
So that doesn't sound like you're doing the job of that then. I mean, why should another 8-year-old be grading my son's paper and now he's getting low grades? That makes sense now. Does that make sense or no?
So now you're saying that all the kids in the class are against your son.
No, I'm not saying they're against him. I'm saying that they might not have the faculties as an adult would to grade a paper.
My students have enough faculties to
Follow
follow along.
if they can't, I mean,
Let
how
me
can
ask you a
grade
question, ma'am.
someone else's paper?
If a child that she said that they're like what 8, 9, give or take.
Yes, Your
If
Honor.
they have a math thing, right, and the question is 2 + 2 = 4, and they're switching the papers to check, and your child says 2 + 2 = 5, you're telling me that that other child doesn't know the correct answer?
No, I'm not saying that he doesn't know the correct answer, but I'm saying
Because
maybe
I'm pretty
he
sure-
can't read the handwriting. Maybe the other kid can't read his handwriting. Maybe they don't know the correct answer. I mean,
You
there's
know what it
lots
sounds
of
like to me?
reasons.
It sounds to me like you're delusional. And I hate to be rude about that, but it sounds to me like you're not accepting the fact that your child is not grasping the information as well as the other children. And it sounds to me like you want to put the blame on Miss Morgan and on St. Michael's rather than on your own child. Look, no one's calling your child a dummy. No one's saying your child can't do it. What I'm saying is that there needs to be another avenue that needs to be explored because all the other children are doing well. Her curriculum is working. It must be working because all the kids are doing well. Your kid isn't. Now, that's not to say that just because, here's the thing about math. And correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm about to say here. Sure. You can have a math problem, and there are 1,000 different ways to get to the correct answer. Okay? Your child needs to find the way so he can learn about the math and the language arts. Because his way of thinking, it's not working for his success.
Well, my son is a genius. I know that. So if it's
And
not
he may
working
be
in
a
the way,
genius, but right now, what he has in front of him, it's not working.
but maybe because the way of getting to that answer is different than the way she's teaching it. So
Do
she
you
does-
care about the way of getting to the answer, or do you care about the answer?
I only care about
She
the answers,
asks
Your
them
Honor.
to show their work.
I surely do.
Well,
when
that
they
you
show
have
their
to
work,
do. That
and
you have to do.
his mind thinks very quickly, so that when when he shows his work, he doesn't necessarily know how he gets to the answer. He has the answer.
So you're telling me that sometimes, but he's getting the wrong answer. That's the problem.
Well, I don't know. She deducts points for the showing work part. So if it's wrong, that part's wrong, but the answer's right, she still takes the points up. That's what my argument is here.
Miss Wu, I can't be here all day with this. Miss Wu, I'm sorry. The $40,000 in damages that you're seeking, I don't see it. I'm not going to grant you that. Okay, I'm gonna dismiss that. You're trying tutoring. That's great. I don't know. Maybe it's just the school. Maybe you could try another school. But
I like this school. We like all the teachers. My son.
No, you don't like all the teachers, because if you did, she wouldn't be here.
I like Mrs. Morgan. It's not her. It's
you
her,
just
her
like
behavior.
the fact that she's not giving your son the
She's
stars.
a good person. It's just her behavior is bad.
Okay. You got to take that up with the administration. This case is dismissed.
Thank you, Judge Porter. I can't believe I had to waste your time as well as my teacher planning time for this. These parents need to understand that the school to prison pipeline is real, and us teachers do not get paid enough to babysit children. We are here to educate and grow the future.
Thank you, Judge Porter, for your time. I have the utmost respect for you as well as for the educational system. I believe every child should be given a fair chance to succeed, and I still don't believe that Mrs. Morgan is giving that to my son. Possibly we can find other ways, as you suggested. However, I just don't want this to happen to other kids, and everybody deserves a star. Thank you.